Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 Hz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and to get with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity, sending me some love telepathically, set attention to your mind, and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So today I want to talk about gaslighting, right? And these various different psychological degrees of warfare, right? So let's get into this. Um, so there's immense psychological warfare going on. Um, I don't want to say this is all throughout the world, right? But a lot of it is taking place within society because this is the way we're functioning. We're functioning very mentally conflict, right? By this I mean we are living within the mind very much more than we are living within our emotional um, peaks, right? Or just our emotions. Before we're in tune with our emotions, we're taught to be thinking and to be calculating and to be mechanized, or to be computational. Um, and this is the way society is programming us. This is the way society is conditioning us to be living, right? And it's very unhealthy because people are literally being programmed. um, People are being conditioned to think 24/7, right? And live within their minds, and all of the society is pretty much built revolving around this type of state of being, which is just pure. It's an imbalanced state of being, right? And all of society is building itself around the inhabitants of it living in the mind, which is being controlled as well, right? This is the whole reason. This is the whole point of conditions and programs, or the whole point of conditions is to control the mind, right? And that's exactly what they're doing. They're controlling the minds of people. Um, so if they're controlling the mind and there's psychological warfare going on in the nations, then they're obviously deciding the warfare itself, right? And and psychological warfare, it's happening everywhere. All you got to do is kind of observe this. If you're somebody who wants to know about this instead of just living in it and ignoring it, then it's easily going to be observed, and it's going to easily be understood that it's something that is it's like a turmoil, right? um, and I want to say gaslighting is one of the various different psychological manipulations that are being used subconsciously by people, right? And there's plenty of other various different things that are being used by people, you know, and most of it is subconscious. Once again, because the battlefield is subconscious, the subconscious field. It's this is the corrupted field, right? The subconscious, because that is where the collection is, and they are doing this in collection. That's the only way it is uh, growing in its power, right? And the dominion is taking place in a collection, right? So the only reason there is psychological warfare so intensely is because collective mass or mass peoples are being brainwashed, or they're being controlled mentally. They're being controlled mentally to literally just conflict with each other, right? So there's mind control that is being used to create warfare amongst the peoples, and they're doing this, and the people who end up finding out, or the people who go deeper into the awakening of it, um, the system of that psychological turmoil is immediately, it's immediately attracted by the individual who is pretty much becoming more aware of it, and they are then targeted for it. So it's then something ends up the thing that ends up happening after being attracted by the whole system of turmoil is that the person who is awakening and becoming aware that it's a control system ends up being gaslighted, or like ends up being targeted subconsciously by the group who is ignoring it or unaware of it, right? So that person, they end up getting called crazy, or there's a group that end up calling that one person who is becoming aware of the various different mass psychological illness and warfare and control, that one person who becomes aware, the black sheep, they end up getting called insane, or they end up getting called crazy, or whatever it is, because that's the self-organizing system. It's organizing itself to terminate that one person who can be a potential threat to its continuation, right? So the whole thing of it is that you got to understand that gaslighting, if this happens to you, it's because it's probably just because that you're in a knowing, right? Some type of knowing that may be detrimental to one, maybe like a multiverse that wants to be manifest, by people who are in power, and in order for those people to manifest that multiverse, their desired realities, then your potential knowing, your knowingness and potential termination of that multiverse to those people in power could be something that is a threat to them, right? To the people in power controlling all the mass. So then that system, it organizes itself to then kind of target that one individual, right? But then people are also gaslighting each other. If they're unconscious or conscious, it's just a lot of gaslighting going on, right? But people, they don't really understand. They don't see psychological manipulation in place for reasons. The reasons is because people just don't turn themselves on to it, you know. But it's necessary for you to observe this, because it can literally psychologically damage you, very deeply. It can damage you, and it can create some type of subconscious wounds or subconscious traumas, that most people don't have the ability to be able to open up and heal themselves. Everybody doesn't have this ability to do that. And if you do have the ability, it's still problematic, for keeping a psychological health. So the entirety of the society is psychologically ill, right? And this is very, 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 very much expressive in the way that we are doing things. We are doing things very, 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 very wrongedly. We're living against the very nature that is creating us. We're a cancer to the earth, okay? And cancers, they destroy themselves. Cancer destroys everything. That's what humanity is doing, and cancer is pretty much one of the ultimate illnesses, right? Um, so if we are doing the same thing, if we are reflecting the expression of cancer itself on a global scale or on a societal scale, then we are just as much of an illness as cancer. And if we are an illness ourselves, then we are ill, right? And this is everybody. This isn't one person, because everybody is to blame for what we're doing to the earth and ourselves, which is a terrible thing. And there is a lot of psychological warfare going on. And they're obviously controlling the fluctuation of this, the people in power, because they are just as insane, or no, they are much more insane than us, than the masses, right? And insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting different results, right? So that's like driving ourselves into extinction by doing the same things over and over, and expecting us not to go extinct. That's an illness, and that's exactly what is happening in collective, right? So that's a collective disease that needs to be healed, but it can only be healed if people are willing to take responsibility. And the ones who are on the verge of taking responsibility are the ones also being targeted by the very system that is trying to destroy the earth. So it's very hard to work in that way. There's various different forces that are also working against people who are trying to help in whatever way they can. But then there's also people who are just like, who cares, you know? But everybody takes their time, I guess. There's much more to be done, right? There's much less to be done, depending on what is being done, right? And there's a lot not to do. By this, I mean just don't act, because that will pretty much solve a lot of things that are happening due to actions in the first place, you know? So just learn not to act, right? And gaslighting is terrible, right? If people are trying to manipulate you psychologically and trying to get you to question your own sanity or your own state of sanity, understand that there's a reason behind that. And the reason is that that person themselves is psychologically ill and is supporting a psychologically ill society and their ways of destruction, right? Their ways of destroying the earth, okay? Because that's all society is doing, is destroying the earth. And the process of integration is being attacked at, right? The process of integrating a healthy form of society is being attacked by the various cancerous way of societally living, right? So you most definitely got to get in tune with the earth, because the grounding is most necessary, especially during immense times of psychological warfare, which pretty much was also brought up by the global pandemic, right? So after or during the global pandemic, the psychological illness and warfare that was already taking